I just love a moment that says, pay attention. Something really urgent is needed. For me, there's like a clarity in it.
I'm Heather Grzych, and this is the Wisdom of the Body podcast. This podcast explores the idea of body intelligence as the real key to learning the knowledge of life, or what we call Ayurveda in the ancient language of Sanskrit. We do that by connecting with today's creative leaders and experts who will help you listen to your body, trust your gut, and live in deeper harmony with nature. Come join me as we unlock the golden door to clear, direct perception and become very deep listeners. You can find the Wisdom of the Body podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can also follow us by joining my email at heathergrzych.com or on Instagram at heathergrzych. I know you're going to love this podcast, so take a second right now to subscribe.
I sat and watched some people fishing off some rocks one day. Lots of people sitting around and making a day of it. Their cooler full of beer, their comfy folding chair, their phone for the long waits between casts, the conversation. They were enjoying themselves quite a bit, but no one was catching anything, and their big buckets were empty. It was nice watching the waves. It was peaceful, so I'm not sure if anybody really minded. And then, out of the blue, a man walks over from the parking lot. I'll say he walked, but it was more like he glided or even flew in. He was actually being carried in. He didn't have any fancy gear, just the basics, a fishing rod, pocket knife, and a bucket. He was trimmer and more fit than the other fishermen, his clothes a little more ragged. I have no idea if any of that mattered, but I noticed it. He moved in quickly. He brought no chair, no phone, no cooler of beer, and he did not speak to the other fishermen. He eyed his spot, placed the bucket down, cast his line, and immediately caught a fish on that first cast. He reeled it in. He freed it from the line, placed it in the bucket, and he sent his cast out again. After another few minutes, he got another bite. He reeled it in, placed it in the bucket, and cast it out again. And immediately, another fish was caught. I watched him catch 4 fish. I watched the other fishermen watching him, studying his placement, inch their way toward where he was casting from, and he was the only one who caught a fish that morning. 4 fish. He wasn't there very long. He drove away with 4 fish in his bucket. After he left, the other fishermen continued with their talking and looking at their phones between their biteless casts. I often recall this experience and wonder, why did this man get 4 fish while the others got nothing? I remember how his energy seemed like an arrow, no doubt, no hesitation. And the others were perfectly content with their distractions, whether they'd been there many times before and learned that they'd be a little bit bored, or if they just approached everything in their lives with that kind of patient and entertaining kind of vibe. I won't know that because I only watched them the one time. But I wonder, why did this other person have the energy of the arrow just to bring the basics, to follow the steps, to pick the spot, cast the line, reel it in, put it in the bucket? Do the ragged clothes somehow tell the tale? The quickness with which he moved, the lack of distraction on his path? Not all desires will become manifest, or they may take longer than usual because we aren't really all in all the time, like every part of us all in, the mind, the body, the energy, and everything we're tugging around with us in life, our people, our village. So I often ask myself, how does one go all in on something? Because I too suffer from scattered energy sometimes. And why is it that sometimes we feel like we're constantly coming up against obstacles, or we feel ourselves hesitating, gripping, or resisting something? And this is stress. Stress is essentially not being in harmony with your environment. So then why are you not in harmony with your environment? You've got to check yourself. You need to be in an environment where you want to be. But maybe you are in an environment where you want to be, but you're bringing so much of your past, and so many of your desires for the future to the table right now in the present moment that you can't even see what's right in front of you. You can't even see sometimes that what's right in front of you is so good, and you think it's wrong, that there's something bad with it because you're bringing junk from the past. Or maybe there's a scattering of mind. And when there's a scattering of mind, then there's a scattering of body, of cells and atoms and intentions. One of the things I've learned about myself, and I'm not sure everyone is like this, is that I seem to do really well in high pressure situations. Like when the stakes are really high. There's no other choice left but to just do something. I have so many memories of these do or die moments where I just pull off the thing that I needed to pull off in that moment. Like it's the bottom of the 7th inning. My team is down a run and there's a runner on base with 2 outs. And now it's my turn to get up to the plate. And even if I've had a really bad game earlier and haven't had any hits that entire game, I'll concentrate all my energies and I'll get that hit and tie the game up. I have so many memories of this. I will somehow do better when I have a lot of pressure on me. And when there's a lot of time to complete something, or if things don't really matter as much, I get lazy. I get distracted with other things that are more pressing. My path to completion of something becomes a zigzag rather than an arrow. I'm actually a person that likes deadlines because I usually have so many things going on at once and I need someone to tell me that they need something by a certain time so I can actually prioritize them into my flow. I just love a moment that says, pay attention. Something really urgent is needed. For me, there's like a clarity in it, but not everyone is like this. Some people are so all in on things that they'll burn themselves out with a bunch of extra actions or by pushing themselves so hard to complete something before it's even due. And I feel really bad for these people because they're already putting so much pressure on themselves. And while they may think they're going all in, they're actually not all in. They're in too much. And that's another way of becoming inefficient because sometimes they may try to complete something way before it's time to do so, or try to perfect it so much that that self-criticism sabotages everything, that the timing just essentially is off. And then there's a blocking energy that they feel is happening. Being in flow has a certain speed to it. Dilly-dallying can be handy for a person who needs a little more space for a minute to decompress, but that can soon turn into dispersion of energy, and suddenly focus is lost, and it's difficult to rein it back in. So when you move at the speed of knowing and trusting, what speed is that? So how do you go all in on something? No doubt, no hesitation, just pure knowing. It's gonna happen. It's so gonna happen. You just know it. It comes from your center. It's like your heart and your belly, and you just know. And it's a forward pull. You just know. And it has a vibrancy to it and a warmth, and is pulling forward. And you don't even feel like you're doing it because it's just happening anyway. And you know it's happening. And so you just keep doing the things that make sense in that moment. You keep living your life, even while you know this thing is happening. And you take every step of it completely. Whatever's right in front of you, you take that. Whatever is right in front of you, you just take that right now. You go all in. You go 100% in. And when these little thoughts come in, oh, what if this doesn't happen? And then whatever reaction comes from that, maybe you get a sense of loss or a sense of anger, fear, or doubt. You know, maybe the thoughts of, oh, it's not going to work, or I don't want that, or I don't want that to happen. And there's a fear that something is going to happen that is not the thing that you want to have happen. Well, whatever. Now stop focusing on those things that you don't want to have happen. Just focus on what you do want, and specifically what you do want that's right in front of you. So what do you want? You want things to be present, relevant, in flow right now. You don't want to be trapped in the past or in the future. Those are recipes for imbalance, for mental turmoil. You want to be here, and you can't be here. if you're somewhere else. So be here, 100% here, right now, in all your cells, in your feet, in your legs, arms, and your spine, sitting with everything that has happened, everything that's not here now, but has happened and has shaped you. And to know that as your life progresses, things drop off and new things get added on. And each little choice you make directs that future. Each little choice you make directs how that constant, inherent regeneration is happening, how it's happening, not if it's happening, because regeneration is constant. It's always happening. Each little decision, this extra bite of peanut butter, this song you played, this conversation you had, this extra hour that you worked, that extra minute of meditation, the yoga class you did, the supplement you took, the prayer you said, everything, that extra minute of meditation where you were so present, where your mind wasn't running amok, where you were aware of it and you commanded it. And that's how you go all in. In Star Wars, one of the greatest lines was when Yoda said to Luke, "Do or do not, there is no try." So this idea of trying to do something, it has a tentativeness to it. I understand that sometimes we may want to use language like this when we are not confident that something will work. But in those moments where we feel disappointed that the result we want isn't coming fast enough, that is nothing more than a call from our inner wisdom telling us, you're focusing too far ahead. Come back to the present. There's something for you to focus on right here that needs your attention. Trying goes away when we focus on what is necessary in the moment. Do you notice your distractions and let them go? Do you sometimes see your obstacles and can you let those go? Those obstacles never seem to go quietly, do they? So what is it that you need right now, in this moment? What do you need to be all in on after this podcast episode ends, after the music stops? Are you on a walk, in your car, washing the dishes, about to do yoga, or go to bed, or call a friend, or be with your lover? You get it all together. You see it. You open yourself as a channel because you get the whole structure of your being aligned like an arrow, like the stem of a plant growing toward the sun, a conduit for the magic that can emerge from within. You follow the elements, you muster up the resources, you collect everything in the center, and you act according to how it feels, according to the need of what's right in front of you. You feel for the direction, you feel for the heat, for the sun, for the moon, for the light, for the dark. You find where your next clear move is, the one without hesitation, the one without forcing, the one without frustration, the one that's in flow, the one that's in present, the one that's here now, all in, all in. Then you simply keep doing that and you see what happens.
I want to thank you for listening to this show. It brings me great pleasure to provide this content to you. I also want to let you know that I'll be making some very amazing announcements soon. And if you're not already on my email list, then I encourage you to go over to my website and subscribe to my email list so that I can keep you informed about these announcements that are going to be coming up very soon. So my website is heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, GRZYCH.com. And I look forward to getting these important announcements to you very soon and connecting. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. To learn more about my work, visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, GRZYCH.com. And meet me here next time on the Wisdom of the Body.